Every day people walk, but they don't know where they are going. The definition that space has in a classical physics conception, the way that separates an object from the others, the intervening thing that allows us to say clearly that one object is different and independent of another, is refuted by the quantum connections, by the tension forces existing in empty space, which can only be explained in a logical, rational way by the fact that space is continuous. Continuity, non-separation, is what allows instantaneous communication, permanent bonding, the tension that always exists between any points in empty space. Non-local, instantaneous connections show that space is not what they thought it was. Physics, in its exact proportionality, the everyday world in which we live, exists as a function of non-local interconnections through the continuous, infinite extension of empty space. To overcome the relativizations of the world perceived by our senses, and reach the deeper awareness made possible by knowledge, we need to use deduction by our intellect. Before measuring the position of an electron, it makes no sense to ask where it is. Another proof of the continuity of reality. The act of measuring influences the position of the electron. The electron does not have a defined position until the measurement is made. Until the measurement is made, the electron is indistinguishable from the way. Until the measurement is made, the electron cannot be distinguished from the electromagnetic field. The act of measuring is the creator of the particle that is being measured while admitting it as distinct from the rest that surrounds it. A concrete definition only becomes real among the many others potentially possible when measurement is made. Since the moon is just made up of electrons and other very similar particles, when nobody is looking at the moon or interacting with the moon in any way, the moon is simply not there, not as being the moon. When no one is comparing the relative motion that the moon is, it is equal to the continuous empty space that surrounds it. For the universe, our distinction between moon and empty space does not exist. For the universe, the moon never exists as something other than empty space because of the perfect physical equivalence that always exists between motion and rest, a consequence of the continuity of empty space. Einstein's special theory of relativity provides evidence that, in general, time does not pass for the universe. It has simply exterminated in the most convincing way the empirical idea of absolute time. To exist, the concept of time always depends on the observer, which is very coherent to serve to explain how the universe appears from nothing. Without observers, nothing exists. If an observer is located far from Earth at the enormous distance of 10 billion light-years from it and moves away from Earth at the small speed of 10 kilometers per hour, the time difference between the now here on Earth and the now of the observer is approximately 100 years. The events here on Earth that correspond to the now of the distant observer took place from the perspective of someone on Earth about 100 years ago. If the same very distant observer moves towards Earth at the same small speed of 10 kilometers per hour, the far observer's now corresponds to the now that here on Earth will happen in about 100 years. This demonstration of the non-existence of non-local simultaneity reveals that also the idea of time is valid only locally. Time only passes locally, never to the universe. The subject origin of the universe is therefore an absurdity. Not locally. Generally, the idea of time flow is never valid. If we could see time recorded in two distant references, time would look like a block, with dimensions containing events and not something that passes. It is just a hypothesis, but due to the great distance in space between the galaxies, the red shift of the Doppler effect may not mean an effective spatial separation at enormous speeds, but a temporal separation between the two, now very large, even at low relative speeds through space to each other. This idea, if confirmed, refutes the idea of the supposed and strange expansion of the space of the universe and of the universe itself. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel and give me your like if you enjoy it.